Now we need to talk about the title or the name of your job, each job in your profile. Please do some research and find out what your job is called in Canada. Most of the time, you're okay. But here are a few examples from previous clients just to show you that job titles can change from one country to another. So, for instance, we speak, don't tell anybody else who's Canadian I said this, we speak American English. There's also a British English, and British type English is spoken in England, in India, in Australia, so large parts of the world, but we speak American style English. So a lorry driver in England or India is a truck driver in Canada. That's easy, you can find that out quickly. House officer in India or England is either an intern or resident here. We just use a different naming convention for the jobs that doctors have in hospitals. I've met a woman who worked with young children, and her official title in English was headmistress. We talked. It turns out her job title in Canada is not headmistress. To me, a headmistress is some sort of British style word for a school principal or the director of a school. In this woman's case, her job title should be early childhood educator. A gentleman from Poland working through his resume, and we had to do a lot of work to translate from Polish to English, and we worked out that his job title was adjunct of the 3rd degree, which just floored me. I didn't know what this was. We talked. It turns out in Canada, at University of Toronto, he would probably be called a lecturer. So his job title is university lecturer. If he'd been a little more senior, he might be an adjunct professor. Some universities in Canada might call him a sessional professor. So there's the name. What's the job called in your country? What's the job called in Canada? And sometimes, what's the job called at a particular company? So if you know you want to get hired at a particular company or in a particular industry, that's the company you want to compare the names of your jobs. You want to compare the names of your jobs to the jobs in that company. We had a pharmacist from Bangladesh. After talking about his education, we determined that he didn't need to write the pharmacist exams because he was not a pharmacist in Canada. His education qualified him to be a pharmacy technician. So a difference of level in terms of the educational background he had. A final example, and this is actually my example, it's personal. When I was at IBM, I was a staff software developer. Staff just means intermediate. I was a software developer. The same job in the United States was called software engineer. In the province I was living, you cannot call your job engineer by law. So there's a law that says you can't be a software engineer in Ontario unless you are officially a member of Professional Engineers of Ontario. They control the profession of engineering and say who is and isn't an engineer. I was a software developer. My job was software developer. My job title, software developer. So sometimes you get to Canada, and because you're in a controlled or regulated profession, the job titles are controlled under the law. So small things, again, just like your name, but they can get you into trouble.